I'm your father. Oh, what's with all the stairs?
Who is this guy? And why is he breathing like that? It's creepy.
Obviously shown in theaters in front of the Hunger Games. I mean, come on. Okay, welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. That was a horrible way to start the show off here, but this week is far from horrible. Except for one movie that we're going to get to here, but January is ending on a much better note than the rest of the month has been so far. Yeah, this month has not been as solid as past Januaries, but hey, it is what it is. So we've got 5 films to take a look at for January 29, 2016, and we're starting off with Kung Fu Panda 3, which you would think that DreamWorks putting this out on January 29th means that they probably think it's a bad movie. Well, no, not exactly. I mean, it's not as good as Kung Fu Panda 2, but still a pretty damn good movie. Continues on from the story as the story ended in the last movie, where we first saw Poe's father, and so now he's come to see Poe, now voiced by Bryan Cranston, and the reunited duo travel to a secret panda paradise to meet scores of hilarious new panda characters. But when the supernatural villain Kai, played by J.K. Simmons, begins to sweep across China, defeating all the kung fu masters, Poe must do the impossible and learn to train a village full of his fun-loving, clumsy brethren to become the ultimate band of kung fu pandas. And yeah, the Kung Fu Panda movies are a definite example of a don't judge a book by its cover type of a film, because nobody could predict that the first 2 movies would be so good. I mean, the second one is one of the best animated sequels of all time, if not one of the best sequels of all time. So there is a lot of high stakes with Kung Fu Panda 3. And like I said, while I don't think it ups the ante as much as the second film does, it's still a really good, well, what was supposed to be a satisfying conclusion of the story. Of course, we had Kung Fu Panda 4, but I mean, I'll start with some of the negatives here, because there are a couple of things that are negatives overall. You can definitely tell some of the voices were originally slated to be done by other people. Like, one of the big ones is the character of Mei Mei, who's kind of sort of there to be kind of a love interest for Poe. I remember correctly, it was originally supposed to be voiced by Rebel Wilson, but they replaced her with Kate Hudson. And watching her in this, you can definitely tell they wanted her to be more like Rebel Wilson in this, but because of how Hudson plays this role here. But to her credit, she does seem like she's having the time of her life playing this role here, and it's at least more enjoyable than some of Hudson's more recent comedies like Bride Wars or Something Borrowed, so I guess there is a silver lining to that. The main bad guy had a voice changeover. It was originally supposed to be Mads Mikkelsen, but then they changed it to J.K. Simmons, and you know they rewrote the character when he came on board, and the change isn't as noticeable since the character was rewritten once Simmons comes in, but you could definitely tell it's the same guy. It's J. Jonah Jameson all over again. But hey, it's J.K. Simmons. So even with the negatives I've had so far, they're not really bad things about the movie. There's more kind of nitpicky things. I will say though, the story does stumble back into a little bit of predictability as we get some of those elements that we saw in the past 2 movies returning here as well. The cliches like the big liar revealed element is brought into the movie, but it doesn't stick around too long. Plus the whole element of Poe still being seen with low self-esteem after everything he's done in the previous 2 movies is starting to get annoying. I mean, the panda has proven that he's a badass. I mean, he literally turns through a bomb at these ships and destroyed all of them. Like, if you don't have confidence in yourself after that, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's almost like the level of the Shrek movies, where Shrek always has that sense of, oh, I'm an ogre in every movie. It's just like, we get it. You're an ogre. Move along. Like, I know they need to dumb down the characters to have his self-esteem lower, but they're just pushing it at this point. Like, that's the real biggest complaint I have about the movie here. Other than that, though, everything else is really good. Like, I do like how these movies continue to develop the story by expanding on the characters, especially the main character, Poe, instead of just going for the cheap cash grab outing with Shrek the Third, like how that handled itself. But they do expand on the story and do a good job of showing the relationship between Poe and his real father, while at the same time Poe and the father who raised him at the same time. I like that this and the 4th movie don't do the whole thing where it's like, it's not like Daddy's Home, where you have 2 fathers duking it out each other with silly comedy and all that. These 2 do genuinely work together, especially in the 4th movie. They did a very good job of making this relationship work by not having one father upstaging the other. They both love Poe just as much, and I do think they did a good job of cleverly tying in the other 2 films to essentially bookend this film series as a trilogy. Once again, we'll touch on that a little bit later on, but it did seem like they were ending this on a final note. But like I said, of course, the 4th one, again, we'll get to that one in just a little bit. Once again, the animation is top-notch. This might be some of the best animation they have done at this point, combining 2D and 3D animation as well as they've done in the previous films. And not only that, the shadow work in here is really incredible. The characters' designs are great. The visuals in this are just amazing. You really had to see this on the big screen to appreciate the gorgeous attempts at animation they do here. And the voice work overall is really good. You can tell that a lot of the voice actors from the previous films don't get enough screen time in this one compared to the other ones, as they're mostly centering the focus on... I mean, the main focus is on Jack Black, James Hong, Bryan Cranston, and J.K. Simmons. The other characters are kind of pushed off to the side in this movie. The Furious Five, everyone complained about how they were not in the fourth movie all that much. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was the thing where it's just kind of like, where were they in the fourth movie? But here, they're in here, but they're barely making an impact on here. I don't think Lucy Liu's Viper has any lines in this movie whatsoever, except for a couple of shocked reactions, but that's about it. And speaking of Kung Fu Panda 4, I know that this was supposed to probably be the end of a great trilogy, and yeah, it's the end of a great trilogy, and everyone who saw Kung Fu Panda 4, you know, they thought that it was a completely pointless sequel. I disagree on that. I do like Kung Fu Panda 4. I like it in the same vein as Toy Story 4. It's a sequel that doesn't need to exist, but as far as the sequel that does exist, they did a good job of doing the best they can by adding another story to it. There's elements about that movie I do really like. I like the camaraderie between Jack Black and Awkwafina's character. I do still like that relationship that's building between Poe's fathers. Viola Davis was pretty good as the villain and as the chameleon. I love the way her design is. Like, you could tell that it's her because they have like the scales on her to know that it's a clone and all that. Like, that's a really cool design. So there was a lot of really cool things about that movie. There's also a lot of flawed things about that movie that I touched on in a review in itself. I'm talking about the movies when the film came out. So if you want to see that, link in the corner. So yeah, it's still a good movie, but yeah, Kung Fu Panda 3 really is the film that you could tell was trying to, you know, get back on, it was the film that was trying to end the series on a positive note, and it did. It doesn't have those same elements that made the second film a great movie, but there's still more than enough to make it a great film. It's a nice return to form for DreamWorks, who took a huge step back in quality with Home last year, and they'll definitely take a step back with the next movie they'll do, that is Trolls, which, yeah, looks great, but man, that's a movie that, we'll get to it, but it's a movie that has a lot of problems to it. But yeah, Kung Fu Panda 3, though, I like it. I really do like it a lot. It's a good movie, and it shows how the Kung Fu Panda movies have been very dominant, have been very good all the way from the very beginning to the very end. Yeah, they're great films, and Kung Fu Panda 3 is another great example of that. So that was the big new release of the weekend. So let's go ahead and move on to a movie that not a lot of people really talk about. It's a shame, because I really do think it's one of Disney's best underrated live-action modern recent films, and that is The Finest Hours. Dead. No, seriously, they're probably all dead in this movie. But this is The Finest Hours. This was a movie that kind of came and went. And yeah, it was a movie that didn't do a whole lot of the box office. Got a mostly mixed reception from people. Was kind of largely forgotten after it came out. But honestly, I really do enjoy this movie a lot. I thought it actually was... It's another one of those great underrated Disney films that came out around that time. Like the sports movies, like $1 Million Arm or McFarlane USA. These movies that, or one we'll get to later on in the year, Queen of Katwe. A good movie that not a lot of people really got to see. The story is based off of a book by Michael J. Tugis and Casey Sherman, The Finest Hours, the true story of the U.S. Coast Guard's most daring sea rescue, and chronicles the true accounts of the 1952 United States Coast Guard rescue of the SS Pendleton after it splits apart during a nor'easter off the New England coast. You have a cast that includes Chris Pine, Casey Affleck, Ben Foster, John Ortiz, Eric Bana, Holliday Grainger from Cinderella. And it was a really good movie. It really is a film that you don't expect it really to come from Disney. Was the last time they tackled a Coast Guard movie like this? That was The Guardian, that terrible Ashton Kutcher, Kevin Costner movie that was trying to be like Top Gun for the Coast Guard and failed miserably at it. But this is a really good movie. It is actually a pretty solid film. The casting overall is really good here. You forget that, not only is Chris Pine really good in this movie, but you do buy into his relationship with Holliday Grainger, who's kind of been pushed off to the side recently. I mean, she was in Cinderella, and I think they were really hoping that Cinderella was going to lead to her having a successful film career, and this is going to be the first case in that. She hasn't really done a whole lot since then. She's been in some movies, but not to the levels of the near top billing like she nearly has in this movie. Yeah, her most recent thing at this time was Mickey 17, which I do remember her in that now. She was a red hair. But other than that, though, she's been kind of quiet since then. I mean, she hasn't really, in between The Finest Hours and Mickey 17, just smaller movies in particular, none that I really remember being all that incredible or remember her much in, but, I mean, I thought they were all very good in this movie. The acting overall is great. The visual look of the movie is really impressive. You feel the tension when these waves hit these ships and all that. It's really, really well done. It's got a lot of great entertainment value in here, and it really helps by the director, Craig Gillespie, who is a pretty solid director, and he'll work with Disney once again in a couple of years' time with Cruella, one of the best live-action remakes they've done in recent years. But I really enjoyed this one. I think it was a really good movie that got really overshafted at the box office, and not to mention coming a couple weeks after 13 Hours, which ended up being a much bigger hit than this did. It's a good movie. I really enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a very well-made film. I mean, it's a really good movie. It's story-wise generic, but everything else about it works really well, from the acting, to the visuals, to the action, to the tension. It's a really good movie. It's one I highly recommend checking out if you haven't seen it, The Finest Hours. So we've had a couple of good movies so far. Now let's get to the piece of shit in the middle of this sandwich here. You got 2 sandwiches of bread with quality films, and then the big steaming pile of shit right here. Let's take a look at the 50 Shades of Grey parody from Marlon Wayans. This is 50 Shades of Black.
Give me a smile. Okay, no smile. Don't ever smile again.
From the director of the upcoming Scary Movie film. You people still want to pretend like I was, and I don't know what the fuck I was talking about when I said that Scary Movie 6 looks like it's going to be absolutely horrible. I saw this movie. I know why that movie is going to be terrible, because if it's anything like this, we are in some deep, deep shit right here, because let me tell you something. This movie makes the Seltzer Brothers movies look better by comparison. That's how bad this movie is. 50 Shades of Black is a parody of 50 Shades of Grey, where Marlon Wayans stars as Christian Black, who introduces a shy college student, Hannah Steele, played by Callie Hawk, to the world of romance, as she interviews for her school paper. Their kinky relationship stumbles forward despite Christian's shortcomings as a lover and the antics of his racist adopted mother, Claire, played by Jane Seymour, her well-endowed brother, Eli, played by Avion Crockett, and Hannah's hypersexual roommate, Katisha, played by Jenny Zagino. So, yeah. This is everything that is wrong with spoof movies. I mean, this movie literally does for 50 Shades of Grey what Vampire Sucks does for Twilight. It's a movie that says it's going to be a parody and a spoof on a specific genre, on a specific series in general, but it's not going to make fun of it. No. We can't do that, because if we offended fans of the franchise here, we're going to come off looking like monsters here. So let's go ahead and do the safest, cheap-ass jokes we can do here, and let's throw in parodies of things that have happened in the last 5 years. Let's have a parody of Magic Mike in here. Let's have a parody of, the poster will be a parody of For Your Eyes Only. Remember that great movie, Teenagers, from back in the 1980s, that James Bond movie that you probably don't even realize who was even James Bond back then, because you never saw those films. And, hey, Kim Kardashian, remember that provocative photo she did? Let's have Marlon Wayans do that here, because we don't know what makes for good entertainment here. That's the biggest problem with this movie, is that there is nothing funny about this movie at all. There is nothing creative about this. It's cheap, lazy jokes. It's backhanded. It's like backhanded compliments about how the writer of 50 Shades of Grey is a bad writer, and it just gets old so quickly and so fast that it's not even funny. Like, nothing in this movie is hilarious whatsoever. There are no jokes that work here. The movie is terrible. It just what really sucks about this whole thing is that I don't hate Marlon Wayans. I have said before, I like a lot of Marlon Wayans' stuff, but when he does stuff like this and the Haunted House movies, and now what he's doing with Scary Movie, trying to pretend like it's the big return of spook comedy, we're gonna bring comedy back, even though Naked Gun clearly did that the year before. But no, I'm sorry, that was the old Paramount. This is the David Ellison Paramount. This is Trump Paramount, because we have to pretend that Scary Movie is the top tier spoof movie genre. Fuck you, Naked Gun. Just like, no, fuck you, dude. I'm sorry, but you're wrong on that. I love your work, man, but Marlon Wayans, you are completely wrong. You're dead wrong on this, because nothing that you showed in that Scary Movie trailer was remotely funny, and it just reminds me of the torture that you made a lot of people sit through with this and the Haunted House movies. That's why I'm not looking forward to Scary Movie 6, because of what they did with this. This film is abysmal. It's not funny, it's not creative, it's not anything new, I haven't seen done before. It's bad. It's a terrible, terrible movie. It's a film that people weren't stupid enough to follow in this one here. I mean, it bombed pretty hard, even though it did make 4 times its budget. You don't hear people ever talking about this movie ever again, nor do you really need to, because yeah, it's a steaming pile of garbage. And like I said, it's very much like Vampires Suck, where it's gonna say it's gonna make fun of this movie and trash it, but no, it's gonna say, hey, remember this, remember this, remember this. It's that style of spoof comedy. It's the spoof comedy that we've been trying to get away from. And here it is, again, with them trying to prove that it's never going away. And no, it didn't. It is going away, because they never made another one of these movies that after that, at least until Scary Movie 6 comes out. But what more do I gotta say, man? This is a bad movie. This is a really, really terrible, terrible film. So let's get back to the good stuff again. Let's go to Natalie Portman starring in Jane Got a Gun.
They come to my house. I'm gonna protect him.
Jane Got a Gun. Rated R. Theaters everywhere. January 29th.
Sadly, no, this is not a movie based off the Aerosmith song, Janie's Got a Gun, or even the great scene from Not Another Teen Movie.
Janie's got a gun. Janie Briggs got a gun. Janie's got a gun.
But hey, it's still a very good movie overall. Natalie Portman stars as Jane Hammond, who has built a new life with her husband, Bill Hammond, after being tortured by the ultra-violent Bishop Boys outlaw gang. She finds herself in the gang's crosshairs once again when Ham stumbles home riddled with bullets after dueling with the boys and their relentless mastermind, Colin. With the vengeful crew hot on Ham's trail, Jane has nowhere to turn but her former fiancé, Dan Frost, for help in defending her family against certain destruction. Haunted by old memories, Jane's past meets the present in a heart-stopping battle for survival. Before we get going here, I just want to show you IMDb once again. They know what their stuff, man, with recommendations for what you should see after you watch this movie. Take a look at this. So, there's the recommendations. We got Mad Dogs, Outsider, Forsaken, all westerns, but what's their 4th recommendation here? Yeah. Because when I watch a movie called Jane Got a Gun, my first thought of a movie I should watch next, or a show I should watch next, is The Bachelor. Great work, guys. Great work at IMDb. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you that because I thought that was kind of amusing when I saw that there. But yeah, the movie itself overall is really good, especially considering the production problems that this movie went through here. They went through several different situations here. They were originally going to do. They started shooting this back in 2000. It was around 2013, so it's been sitting on a shelf for a little bit. There's been a lot of production problems with this since 2012. They were originally going to have Lynn Ramsey directed. Michael Fassbender was going to star in it, and then he dropped out. Rodrigo Santoro was in it at one point. He was cast in it, but trying to see who else was in here. Jude Law was supposed to be John Bishop, but he was replaced by Ewan McGregor. Dan Frost, of course, was then replaced by Joel Edgerton, who actually co-wrote the script for this. Directed by Gavin O'Connor, stepped in as the director after what he did with Warrior. The cinematographer left the project. You know, they had a lot of people coming in here. You know, Bradley Cooper was going to be in the film at one point, but then, of course, Ewan McGregor came in. There's just a lot of things going on behind the scenes of the movie, so it's amazing that this film turned out to be as kind of cool as it was, because it is a very interesting film that reminds me so much of something like, what was the Sharon Stone Western from Sam Raimi? The Quick and the Dead, where you have a lead female character in the role of this person who has to take matters into her own hands. And while this movie is nowhere near as good as The Quick and the Dead was, this is a very solid film that Natalie Portman really does shine in this movie. And you have a script co-written by Brian Duffield, who would later give us Love and Monsters, and Joel Edgerton, and the cast that also includes Noah Emmerich, Rodrigo Santoro. And yeah, it's a really, really good movie that isn't really long at all. It's only about an hour and a half long, and it delivers a lot of action overall that really gets you invested in the film in general. It's a really good movie. I really found myself enjoying it a lot more than I was expecting it to. And yeah, the film overall was really, really solid. I thought it was a very good film. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it. Jane Got a Gun. It didn't get the proper respect it deserved back then, but it's a really good movie and one I would highly recommend checking out. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, which, hey, you know, Amazon got into the movie business last year, so did Netflix. What's the next logical step? Right here on YouTube, baby. Here's the YouTube Red original movie starring the gang at Rooster Teeth, Laser Team.
My dad may not be very strong or brave, but he is really good at...
I love you too, sweetie.
Which, of course, features its biggest star,
And I can't tell the baby, what? Oh, no, you didn't, catnap? More like cat will snap. Am I right? Now I know you people of the sport movement. Hollywood, lazy. Go on Facebook, go on Instagram, go on Snapchat, and Jimmy Kimmel, I know it's you, man. Come out and quit playing.
That's right, I finally get to use that Corey Coleman clip after so many years of me thinking that the Donald Glover movie Mystery Team was the one that Corey was in. But no, he has a cameo in this, doing the Tosh.0 type of, being a Tosh.0 type of host here. But this is Laser Team, and it's a film starring the Rooster Teeth people, featuring Bernie Burns, Gavin Free, Michael Jones, Colton Dunn, Ali DeBerry, and Alan Ritchson. Of course, Alan Ritchson's now become a big star in his own right in the years since then. It follows the Laser Team, a group of 4 who find themselves responsible for the fate of the planet upon discovering an alien crash site containing a battlesuit. So in a way, yeah, it's pretty much a typical movie adaptation with a YouTube celebrity or an internet celebrity. I mean, we've seen this so much with the Channel Awesome movies. The Angry Video Game movie did that too. So yeah. It's another one of those movies where the Rooster Teeth guys who have to stop an alien invasion to save the world, and overall, it's a really good movie. It's a really fun film. If you like Rooster Teeth's type of humor, you definitely get a lot of that in this movie. The action overall is really good. The acting is really solid. It's a really good movie, and despite the small budget that they had to work with here, it looks pretty impressive overall. I think it is a very solid film if you like Rooster Teeth's style of humor here. It's a very well done film. I like it a lot. I thought it was a very fun film overall. Can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you like Rooster Teeth's work, you'll definitely love Laser Team. And so with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, Super Bowl 50 weekend is on the horizon, and of course the studios aren't going to release the big new releases, but we will get at least one good movie this weekend. The Coen brothers with their latest film starring George Clooney, Channing Tatum, Scarlett Johansson, Jonah Hill, and Josh Brolin. Hail Caesar. We also have The Choice, which I believe is it's another Nicholas Sparks adaptation. I think this was one of the last ones they did. I don't remember who was in this one. I just know it's a Nicholas Sparks film. But after that, we have Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, featuring Lily Collins, coming off of her success with Cinderella, in a film that sadly will not be as successful nor as good as that film was. But we'll take a look at it coming up on the next episode as we jump into February 2016 next time on the show, so be on the lookout for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.